Hi, I'm Steve.
Yeah, but what would you drink? Would you drink Chinese whiskey, Steve? Japanese whiskey is great. Everyone knows that. American whiskey is great. But where do you draw the line? Where are you going to drink Indonesian whiskey?
I think Indonesian whiskey will probably become more popular before Chinese whiskey does.
Interesting. Hey everyone, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Steven. This is 60 Cycle Hum, the guitar buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, playing, reviewing podcast.
That's right. It is a podcast.
I think I left one out.
You switched them.
Oh, okay.
You said reviewing. No, you said playing, reviewing. Usually you say reviewing, playing. Because we tacked on playing last, like we did a bunch of episodes before we added playing. Yeah. So here we are. It's a guitar podcast. If it's your first time,
welcome.
I'm sorry.
If it's your first time, we will not pick up. Well, no, we will not play a guitar in the next hour or so. So if you're here to watch people play guitars, go pick another video. Don't leave us a comment about it.
Go watch that pedal show. That's what they do. We save the playing for the demos. This is a guitar show where we look at the most redonkulous of Reverb, the most egregious of eBay, the crankiest of Craigslist,
the ostentatious of OfferUp. I hate this bit so much.
Why do you hate it?
My least favorite bit.
It's just teasing.
It's so
fluff.
long. Ryan, this first ad was sent by Andrew Atkins.
That's true. And by the way, we give away a $25 prize, a digital gift certificate printed on heavy virtual cardstock.
I have adapted to this bit. I'm happier with this bit.
Every single episode we cover 3 ads from the used market sent by someone like you. So if you want to win a $25 virtual digital gift certificate, then send us crazy ads from your local or from global used listings. We want to see them, and we want to give you money from our Patreons. The Patreons fund that. We'll talk about that later. So yes, this is for lot number 546 Nirvana Kurt Cobain stage played Skystang 1 Fender Mustang electric guitar. Reserve not met. Current bid is $600,000. There's only been one bid. The estimate goes from $1 million to $2 million. The starting bid was $250,000, Steve.
Current bid it's after 2 bids is $700,000. I'm looking at the
you just looked it up right now.
This is a 1993 Fender MG69 Japanese Sonic Blue. I found the description too. That's why I looked it up. It's known as Skystang 1, and it is the most well-documented and recognizable of Kurt's stage instruments, and certainly his most used on the 93-94 In Euro tour. With the 30th anniversary of Nirvana's third and final studio album, In Utero, it's fitting that the first single released from that album, Heart-Shaped Box, also is the last song Kurt ever publicly performed on this guitar. There's a whole bunch of other information about how just a lot of Nirvana things.
Sure. Nirvana things,
Nirvana things.
So my point of the thing I want to talk about, the thing that's rattling around in my head ever since grabbing these screen grabs to talk about on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what the most expensive classic rock guitars are going for. I have to imagine that this is one of the most expensive, Gen Xer guitars that's going to be up for sale for quite a while. It feels weird.
Yeah.
It feels weird to me to have a Gen X-y sort of piece of memorabilia going for huge 6-figure numbers, 7-figure numbers. Oh yeah, this is the one that Mike documented?
This is the one that Mike documented.
But in the grand scheme of things, if it does fetch $2 million, for the rich people out there, that's really not a lot to own a piece of music history that is still relatively fresh and current in living people's minds. And tons of young people love Nirvana now. And maybe there's crypto millennials out there who are super filthy rich and just want to buy stuff like this. But it feels weird to me, like growing up in the 90s. I was a teen in the 90s. I was socially and like I was culturally aware,
right,
of Nirvana before Kurt passed.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there for it, but it feels weird to me to have things become memorabilia and become valued to that level. And also there's an element of like the value in Nirvana's music, the value in Kurt
mm-hmm.
as a musician was not in him as, you know, some like fantastic guitar player.
Right.
It was all about tude. It was all about attitude and stage presence. It was all about being in the right cultural time at the right cultural moment. It was all about capturing the voice of that generation. And the guitar, it was there. The guitars were there.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's not like this is Jimi Hendrix Strat or something like that. Like, oh, this is the device that this perfect, you know, classic playing flowed through or whatever.
Sure.
It's not for the instrument. It is purely for the cultural connection. Because it's not like, oh, if you had this, finally you'd be able to play like Kurt. You can go buy yourself one of the $160 Squier Sonic Bullet Mustang things. And that's all you need to sound like Kurt. Like that's the reality of it.
That's the idea, right? Like
and run it through
you get the dirtiest
DS1 into a Mesa and you're there.
What do you think actually is the equivalent? Like what's the current modern equivalent to this guitar?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm a middle-aged man, Steve. I maybe something that. Okay, so if
it's probably just like a late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh,
like,
I see what I thought you meant within like as far as celebrity connection goes.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No,
yeah.
I meant like, okay, so
this is an MIJ Mustang.
Yeah, the whole
that
thing
came out in the early 90s.
Right.
It's probably comparable in quality. Like this is gonna piss some people off. It's probably comparable in quality to a current made in Mexico like Ventera 2 Mustang.
Sure. Oh yeah. I guess I hadn't thought about that. I was thinking about it more from the perspective of like, because Kurt's other guitars were kind of, he had this reputation for like, the reason he played Mustangs and whatever is because you could get them in dirt cheap in pawn shops. So I'm not necessarily saying this particular guitar, but like, what's the modern equivalent to like the Mustang in the early 90s? And I'm thinking it's like that same time period Mexican Strat. Like, what are you going to walk into a pawn shop and pick up for under $500?
Right. Something somewhat undervalued, but that has potential to be a great player that is just totally fine. I like, a 90s Mexican Strat is would fit the bill for sure. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's been so many guitars over the years. I think if Kurt was around right now, he would probably be picking up all these, you know, like $200, $300 off-brand Amazon guitars and stuff like that. He wouldn't be going to pawn shops because pawn shops aren't really the place to go anymore. He'd be like, that one looks funny. I'm going to grab that one. Like I think that's what it would come down to. We're like, oh, I like short scale, so I'm going to grab that one. Oh, that one's lefty. I'm going to grab it. I like the color. Like, I think that's the level of decision-making that was going on, which is great. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe he was so incredibly picky.
I mean, the fact that this still has, from as far as I can tell now, maybe it's blocked off, but it still has the Mustang vibrato on it makes me think like he didn't, if he,
I was
maybe
always
he didn't
under
have the chance to go to town on it, or was he okay with the Mustang?
I was always under the impression that like he would play stuff, he would break it, and then his techs would like glue it back together and be like, oh man, he was falling out of tune. I'm going to hardtail this thing. And he wouldn't care or whatever.
Gotcha.
Maybe I'm just, maybe I have my own lore for Kurt Cobain in my mind.
I love this fat crack that's on the back of this thing. That's wild.
I will say, like, if we saw that on any regular listing, we'd be like, ooh.
Yeah.
But because Kurt did that crack, it's like, oh yeah, that's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to buy this and play it. It's a collector's item.
Do you think realistically this is just going to end up in the Jim Irsay collection.
It's going to end up in a glass case somewhere.
So Jim Irsay is the owner of the Indianapolis Colts. He owns like a ton of these instruments.
Okay.
Like he owns I think he owns the David Gilmour Strat. He owns like a John Lennon Rickenbacker. He owns, I think, a Neil Schon from Journey. It's like they call it like.
But those are like previous
they are
decades.
They are previous decades.
Do you think he would care about this?
But he's only 64 years old.
But that's old enough to be grumpy about grunge.
Do you think if you're in your 30s in 1993, you're grumpy about grunge? I mean, maybe
a lot of people were.
Maybe were,
because if you were in your 30s in 1993, it meant you were in your 20s in 1983, which means that like. And if he's buying classic rock guitars, it means he was probably like a grumpy 20-something about like hair metal.
Yeah, he owns like
he was like, Poison, get rid of this trash. I want to listen to Zeppelin.
He owns like one of the.
I'm just making stuff up about people this episode.
He owns the Prince guitar. He owns like the Prince Cloud. He owns one of the Jerry Garcia. Were they Alembics? I'm not sure what.
Sure,
but
sure.
You know the the Jerry Garcia,
the funny shaped like
yeah.
fried chicken ones.
So, but I think it's going to be someone like that. The nice thing with Jim Irsay is he does. Someone's going to jump on me for this because I'm saying a nice thing about a billionaire, but he does put all these guitars on like city tours.
Oh, okay.
So like he has a tour that will.
Does he charge for him?
Probably.
Bastard.
Yeah, he spent millions of dollars on guitars just so he could charge.
He's gonna make it an investment if he wants. He wants to be a cool rich guy who's just like sharing the pleasure of getting to see these things preserved. That's a different thing. Have a museum, let people come see it. But when it becomes an investment, it's like it's freaking billionaires.
I mean, I think it's probably just to cover the cost of the tour, not trying to make money off of the instruments directly. It's not like like you're driving to the wall drug. You're gonna pay $5 to look at the wall,
right,
or whatever
the spot. The spot, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know you're like weird little roadside attractions. Yeah, yeah.
All right, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say my favorite thing about billionaires is probably the Tenderloin.
I thought for a second
that's an eat the rich joke.
I thought for a second you were going to go there, and then I thought he's not going to go there.
I went there.
That's too crass.
Yeah.
And then you went there. I don't have like a strong connection to this instrument. I think it is kind of wild that this guitar that would have been like $1,000, maybe brand new, but it's all about who owned it.
It wouldn't have been $1,000 when he bought it. It would have probably been
would have been less, actually. Yeah,
it would have been $399 or $299 or something like that.
It's probably a little more. I would guess it was like $600.
If he bought it in a pawn shop, I don't know.
If he bought it in a pawn shop
in '93.
In '93, though, he probably was buying it from Fender.
He might have. I don't know.
By '93,
could have been a personal gift from Leo himself.
Yeah.
Was Leo still alive?
Leo wasn't at Fender in 1993.
I know, but was he still alive?
I don't know.
Huh.
How can you guys have a guitar podcast and you don't even know when Leo Fender died?
I think he was. I think he died in '91. You want to take a guess?
I don't. I have no sense of that. Was it 91?
Oh, I was right. It is 1991. I do deserve to have a guitar podcast.
But I think, by the time they were on the...
Oh. Thank you.
All right. By the time they were doing In Utero, they were also already in negotiations with Fender for the Jagstang designs. I think at least by the second half of the In Utero tour, they were in negotiations for that because Fender had prototypes by the end of that tour.
So sorry to interrupt you.
No, so I'm just saying,
right.
I think there's a pretty good chance, and it actually was in the Julien story. Had I kept it open, I could look it up, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just saying he probably did not pawn shop this one.
One of the reasons it feels funny to me, even though I totally understand, why it's a collector's item and it's going to sell for millions of dollars. One of the reasons it feels funny to me is because having grown up in that generation, you're a couple years behind me, so you weren't really.
I'm just a kid.
You were just a kid at the time. You weren't fully like part or like experiencing that media culture. It was all about cynicism towards things of value.
Right.
It was all about cynicism towards classic rock and shredding and like finger gymnastics. Is cynicism towards perfectly polished like record label BS and stuff like that. And to have this thing now be this highly collectible, high dollar value sort of thing is the opposite of that. It feels very strange. Like the reason he was buying pawn shop guitars and smashing them on stage, because it was this whole mentality of like, none of this stuff matters. Like the music industry is a joke. Like this is just destroy all this stuff. Like nothing really matters. It was basically how everything felt. And so let's just like do whatever.
I literally just opened this to the thing we were talking about earlier. I went back to the Julien's page because I wanted to look something up. And the vibrato has been hardtailed.
Okay.
And the string anchor tube is flipped, so you can't see the balls. Because usually
right.
It wraps. It's also has the Tom installed bridge instead of the Mustang bridge. What I was trying to figure out though is who actually owns this right now.
I don't know. It's up for
the guitar is owned by Kurt's brother.
Oh, okay.
And is on loan and has been on loan to Seattle's Mopop Experience Music Project since 2007. So it's been on display since 2009.
I should give my brother a couple guitars in case I die famous. Just to help him out, like in 30 years, hey, if you need some money in 30 years, sell this.
My guess this was like,
I'm not going to die
probably
famous.
As somehow like in his will or something.
It is nice that this isn't just he played it one time or like this. Yeah. This is the one that he played, and it has the modifications that he's known for having.
It's got it's in all the pictures.
Right. It's in all the pictures. It's got battle damage. It's been modified the ways that he had things modified. It's the real deal.
We're treating this too much like a topic, Ryan, and not enough like an ad.
That's right.
At an estimated $1 to $2 million. Is this a buy or a buy?
Someone out there is going to buy it.
Yeah. That's right.
Everyone else is going to say buy because it's an auction. Like there can only be one winner.
How long does this go? This goes until it looks like
there's no race to the bottom for this.
November. I'm not sure how long this is running. Looks like maybe mid-November. Because I just want to know how. Like, when will this end? I want to know when it's ending.
In my mind, the ideal situation for this auction is that Janine Garofalo wins it. She has the money. I believe in my heart she has the money to just toss around to do this. Janine Garofalo wins it. She goes to accept it at the auction house, and then she does the pure 90s thing that should be done anyways, and she smashes it on stage.
And then lights it on fire.
And then, just like she throws it up in the air, she lets it fall, it smashes everywhere. And then she lights it on fire, or she passes pieces out to the crowd,
Do you think she's got that kind of money?
I have no idea how much money Janine Garofalo has.
All right, Ryan, here's something maybe you could afford. I want you to guess the current price.
But I was trying to pull a celebrity that was like of the time.
Yeah.
A
lot more. Here's maybe
not just of the time, but also of the vibe.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say more likely celebrity, but not of the vibe. Maybe a little bit of the vibe, but it kind of grew out of the vibe. But might have more likely to have the money. I was going to say Ben Affleck.
Yeah, he doesn't have the vibe. He has the money.
Yeah,
he's got the money. He don't have the vibe.
No one who has the vibe has the money.
No one who has the vibe has the money, because the vibe means you don't have the money. Like that's the reality of it. But that's also like what I'm pitching is that this guitar, the soul of it, the spirit of it, the mojo of it.
Mojo Nixon.
It doesn't. If your podcast doesn't have Mojo Nixon, then your podcast needs some fixing. This guitar wants a funeral. It doesn't want a glass casket.
Right.
It
Right.
wants a cremation. It doesn't want to be preserved for 1,000 years. It wants to be like Kurt Cobain.
Lot number 547.
His pants.
Kurt Cobain photo matched, stain worn, heart shaped box video worn, and MTV Awards event worn Levi jeans with book. How much do you think this is estimated at,
Oh my
Ryan?
gosh.
These are
I hate this.
basically, I think, a pair of 501s.
Right.
They're Levi's button-ups. I think they're Levi's button-up jeans.
I don't know. They're starting at $800,000. I don't know.
Not quite that bad.
It was like
but these are-
$56,000.
No, these are estimated to be worth between $10,000 and $20,000. These are practically a Forta jeans.
Maybe I could refinance my house and buy these. And then I'd have Kurt Cobain's pants, and I could try to squeeze into them.
How about Kurt Cobain's cardigan? $6,000 to $8,000.
Gosh.
All right, that's all I'm going to do.
Again, like I'm projecting what my impression of Kurt was, and
Right.
I was 13 when he died, maybe 12, something like that, maybe 14. I can't place the date right now. He would hate that. Is the impression that I got
Right.
of that person, and we've only know him through media. We only know him through
the media, the music.
stupid interviews on MTV and stuff like that. I think he would hate that. I think he would hate that his clothes are being sold for 5 figures.
Do you think Dave is getting pressured to buy this right now?
He could buy all this stuff.
He could at least buy the, like, I'm not saying he's going to do
Courtney
it.
could buy all this stuff.
I don't know if Courtney could buy all this stuff.
She's got the estate, man.
Yeah, but does she actually have money?
Every time you see a Nirvana shirt, she's getting a piece.
Yeah,
Every
that's
time.
true. You know, her kid and also his kid,
I
Kurt's
know,
kid
I know.
is marrying
I know.
Tony Hawk's kid.
I know.
That's weird.
It's not that weird. That
Weird
actually
to me.
that if you went back to 1995,
It would make a lot more.
Yeah,
It makes a
you're
lot
like,
of sense.
Oh, Kurt Cobain's daughter is gonna marry Tony Hawk's son. I'd be like, wow, can I go to the wedding? That sounds like it's gonna be the coolest wedding ever.
That's like
That's like if little grungy boys in the mid 90s had dolls and they could play and be like,
God.
we're getting married and it sounds made up.
Well, you are literally making it up right now. So
I know. I'm making up a lot of stuff this episode.
Oh.
All right. People are gonna be pissed.
Great.
Or they're gonna be fine with it, which is fine too.
Ryan,
Yeah, Steve?
this past week or so,
Mm-hmm.
actually the past few weeks, I have purchased guitar picks on our account.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I have
That's
purchased
why we don't have any money
I have
anymore.
purchased stickers
Uh-huh.
on our account, and I have purchased magnets on our account. And all of these things are paid through by the Patreon.
That's true, Steve.
And adding on to helping us with Patreon this week at the $1 level is Kirk Sathoff. I'm not sure how to say her name, sir.
Kurt Safoff.
And at the $10 level, Derek Stone. So
A $10 level.
thank you, Kirk and Derek, for the support. And those are the kinds of things I saw. Like, oh, actually, I think I might be completely out of stickers, so that's why I ordered those stickers. Yep. I realized, thanks to Google, so many websites using Google for authentication, I can just log into all of our, like, a bunch of our accounts without a password because I have the Google password.
Steve's dangerous now.
Great.
You just go buy stuff.
But it also means, like, when we need merch resupply, I can just do it and have it sent to my house. But all of that merch that goes to the best friends level and the inner circle level and the bragging rights level, all of that is actually supported by the Patreon fund itself. So
Also,
thanks to all of you that we can buy stickers. We'll probably take some stickers and pics to NAM and just
sure,
give some of those away too.
We've got 2 Patreon funded videos coming out soon. They're 2 different guitars that are going to be a lot of fun. And then mentioning those and all the other stuff that we just bought, we're in the red now. We now the show is officially borrowing from the Bank of Ryan. And I just balanced our books, and I usually do it quarterly, so that means we've got 3 months until we have money in.
That kind of seems like cheating.
Yeah, I'll balance when we get our next Patreon payment. I'll do the books again so we can have some money in there. But if you're thinking about supporting us, you can help get us out of the red in the next month or so. And we've got, I hate to bring it up again, we got NAMM coming up in 3 months, and that is likely going to cost us about $1,500. After hotel and travel and food and things like that. So yeah,
Ryan, if you'd stop buying freaking $100 bottles of champagne for every meal.
Well, actually, we usually order Mexican food, and
hot dogs.
Tonight we had hot dogs. I was like, I'm just gonna make hot dogs. Let's not feed everyone Mexican food tonight. Let's look at hot dogs.
Cold cut sandwiches.
Next week it's gonna be peanut butter and jellies.
But
it'll be soup.
Thanks everyone in the Patreon. If you want to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/60 Cycle Humcast. We super appreciate everybody who's in there.
And if everyone canceled and stopped paying us, we would find a way to continue on. It would just, things would be different. We wouldn't have stuff.
Be a little different.
While we, I just want to say, after us sitting here and complaining about not having money, this whiskey is excellent. Huge thanks to Jason Welch. He sent this for our 500th episode celebration. Monkey Shoulder, the original blended malt Scotch whiskey. Fantastic. Thank you, Jason Welch. This is beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Cheers.
Cheers, Steve. We weren't in person last time we recorded. So it's nice to have you back in the garage.
People asked why we didn't do the 500 together, and I was like, because I don't want to sleep on Ryan's couch.
Right. Also, like, you don't want to drive down on a Sunday, just to do what, like, Steve comes here on Wednesday nights to do the podcast with me because he works down the road. Like, he's not going to do that on a Sunday. He lives like an hour away.
This episode is brought to y'all by Stringjoy.
That's right, Steve.
Crafted in Nashville, Tennessee, played on stages worldwide. These are the orbiters. These are a coated string. They are enamel coated, so it's going to be different.
Just like
from
your teeth.
That rubbery, coating that's used on elixirs and some other brands. This is like a enamel coated, and it is. I think it's more like your teeth. It's like a ceramic plating.
Here's my hot pitch.
What's your hot pitch?
Why would you want to play strings that feel like your strings are wearing a condom when you could play strings that feel like teeth? Is that a good pitch?
Use the link below so Stringjoy knows we sent you, and use code HUM at checkout to save 10%. Stringjoy. This next ad was sent by Jason Welch. Speaking of.
Speak of the Welch. Jason.
1979 PV T-40. Lil Dusty.
Just a little bit.
What the haven't wiped it off in 30 years. In clean, straight, everything is there. Body cracked on one side a little, but not anywhere. What? Not anywhere that affects the neck or components. Couple of screws and some glue, won't even notice. Worth a lot more. I could clean it, but it's better to let the new owner enjoy this. I'll take 500 with trade of something. The penny fell there has nothing to do with it. What? The penny fell there has nothing to do with anything. What penny? This is written in gibberish.
Right.
It's this guitar.
I found the penny. It's right there.
Oh, there's just a penny like lodged in the bridge in one picture.
In one picture, it has 2 strings, and in the penny picture, it has 1 string.
There's another guitar in the picture too.
I want to see that guitar.
It looks like a Telecaster.
You think so?
It's some kind of caster.
It's definitely a caster. I don't know if it's an off-brand caster or a real caster. It could be another PV for all we know. Yeah. My gut is telling me that's a Stratocaster.
You think it's a Stratocaster?
I don't think that's a Tele.
You're right. It's too pointed to be a
What does it say about me that I can look at just a fragment of a lower horn on a guitar and decide with complete certainty that it is one guitar and not another? That's sick. I shouldn't know this much stuff.
There's no pictures of this supposed crack.
This is in North Hollywood? What's going on, North Hollywood?
Whoa. door pickup. Should I go get this?
Yeah, you could. For $600 though, Steve, I feel like you should bring more money because it's definitely worth more than that, right?
What's this trade? He says, I'll take 500 with trade of something. Like, of what?
Literally anything.
Of what?
Literally anything, Steve. He's saying he'd accept $100 worth of trade.
No.
If you have something worth $100, Steve. Oh, I have that the Angelico baritone listed.
Yeah.
Someone offered me a trade for a bunch of office equipment, like a projector and like a fax machine.
Who sends faxes?
I don't know. It was
what
really.
Is this?
I didn't even reply because I was like, I don't know what to like. They just told me like, oh, I've got this projector and I have this fax machine. Are you interested? Like, what the hell? I do say in the ad, it's like a Craigslist ad. I was like, open to interesting trades. That is an interesting trade. I have to admit. Okay.
I can hold on. No, I can go on Reverb right now. I feel like there's something wrong with this. Oh, it doesn't have original pickups, I think. It says all original, but it doesn't look all original. Oh, no, it is all original. They're just funky pictures. This guitar body is worn. They want $650 plus shipping of $150, right. So $800 to get. I think that's like the cheapest PVT 40 on is like we're looking at about $800 for $800 versus this $600. By the time you
this needs your more than sanding
water jet to clear all that. I'm going to borrow my neighbor's pressure washer.
I am going to assume that all that grime on the guitar is held on with cat piss.
I'm going to assume that all of the grime on that guitar is structural, and after you remove it, the guitar's going to fall apart.
Want to know something wild? The picture that has the two strings in it?
Yeah.
The second string isn't even attached to a tuner. It's like...
It's missing a tuner.
But the string is tied around the string tree.
What the...
Look. It ends at the string tree. They like just looped it around there. Like, yeah, it got two strings on it.
This thing's
so filthy.
This guy's life is such a mess that he posted pictures of this guitar and described it and didn't even realize that it's missing a tuner. This is not. It is a playable instrument, but it is not a complete instrument.
It is a playable 3-string bass that happens to be coated in cat piss and dander.
I would also like to point out
various other filth.
In one of the pictures, it is sitting on a couch that has a bunch of probably piss stains on it or some other kind of water stain.
Well, there's definitely like that magic marker graffiti on it.
Those are tracings of like the flower pattern of the couch itself.
Oh, weird.
Because this is like a white couch that's got like that embossed flower thing going on. But here's the thing that I'm kind of terrified by. This is sort of like a 90s thing that I thought mostly went away. In the other pictures, I guess.
There's only 2 pictures, yeah.
It is sitting on the bench seat of a minivan.
Yeah, I love that. Makes me miss my Dodge Caravan days.
This dude's like, you know where's a good place to take a picture of this bass I have? On the bench seat of a minivan. He probably doesn't actually own a minivan. He just owns the bench seat.
That bench seat is the cleanest looking thing in the picture.
It is pretty clean
Actually,
looking.
The cleanest looking thing is the open 5-gallon tub of Tide laundry detergent.
Oh, is that? I just thought that was cocaine.
I think, no, Steve, that's way too much cocaine. If this guy had that much cocaine, he wouldn't be selling this guitar. He'd be selling that cocaine. I think this picture is in a laundry room or something. There's like a clothes hanger. There's a pony toy. There's a framed painting. There's a floor fan. It's in North Hollywood, so like I don't know. It's in someone's like converted garage or something.
So this is obviously a bye, and
then
in its current state. But
if I had been shopping for a T-40, I would offer this guy $250.
I would, dude.
I was steal the number out of your head.
Thinking $250.
Yeah. Well, we've been doing this a long time, Steve.
It's missing that tuner. But I don't, in my memory, I don't know that those PV tuners would be that hard to replace. You might even be able to contact PV as long as you use the right email address. Don't use the email address that KDH used when he tried to contact PV.
The one that he just pulled out of his ass and like, this must be it.
Use an actual one, or
PV at pv.pvcom,
or call them. And maybe they.
I wouldn't even.
They might have that tuner still.
The tuner's the least of my concerns. If I could track it down easily, I would. If not, I'm just going to get another tuner. I'll salvage it off of something else, or I'll just live with a 3-string bass. The cleaning part is like, this looks really, really gross. I'm not someone who gets worked up about gross things. Like I've got 2 young kids. I clean up poop and pee and vomit and stuff, and I don't flinch. It's fine. But like, what is going on here? Like, this is disgusting.
This white couch picture is an older picture because it's cleaner in that picture.
How did it get dirtier?
Like, look at zoom in on the headstock.
No. I think they started to clean it.
You think they started cleaning
it because this has the second string. They didn't make it dirty and put another string on it.
I don't know. You think that's what it is?
Excuse me.
That could be true.
I think they did try to clean it.
I mean, why was the penny? I guess you would assume the penny is in the newest one. I think 250 is about right for this.
Go check it out. You have to go scout this out.
Check it out.
Even in the cleaned up photo, like, it looks like there's water or grease or piss damage on the neck, around the nut, on the edges of the fretboard. The body looks like it's been significantly cleaned up, but still just like, ew, what's going on here? You go check it out in person. See if it smells. If it smells after being cleaned, $175. And then you take it apart and you soak it in bleach or something. If it doesn't smell, if this doesn't smell, I feel like I could go $375 on it.
And from my house to the estimated location of this base is about 93 miles. That is a haul.
That's a haul.
Not as far as it is from here.
Maybe he could meet you halfway.
No, because I want as much leverage as I can to get this thing down to like $250.
No matter what happens, though, if it stinks like cat piss, you're driving away without it. So might as well meet halfway.
I mean, I already own a cat, so
it's gonna get cat piss on it anyways.
Yeah. In the guy's Facebook profile, he's got
cat piss is being generous. It could be a wide variety of pisses.
He's wearing a Kobe Bryant jersey, and he's got
stalk the dude.
Did you find Facebook listing?
Did you find his listing?
Yeah, because because it's in Southern California, so it'll show up in Facebook Marketplace.
All right.
I just wanted to see the listing.
I know. So I feel like I've spoke my piece on this. What about you, Steve?
I kind of want to make an offer.
Steve.
At like 200 and see what he says. Be like, this is...
How long is it going to take you to get this thing?
This is beat to hell. It's missing a tuner. $200. This would I already own a PVT-20. I can have...
You gotta have the whole set.
The whole set.
You just have to piss all over your P20.
No way. That's not going to happen.
Offer him $200. At $200, I support your decision to drive to North Hollywood.
Problem is I don't know if I have time in my schedule to get over there.
Listen, if he sells it before you get over there, then he's done you a favor.
That's true, but it's been up for at least 2 weeks, so
no one's going to buy it. You offer him 200. Say, my offer is 200. Let me know when you're willing to accept it. You know,
that's got to be the approach, Ryan.
That's the approach. Yes, Steve.
What's new, man? You want to talk about this giveaway you did?
Yeah, I just shipped out that Beetronics pedal. I pitched this idea to Beetronics like 3 demos ago, and they finally were like, you know what, that's a great idea. Let's do it. And we did it, and it was a great idea. And it's always fun to give stuff away. I had them send me 2 of the same pedal. The Nectar fuzz that just came out, fuzz/overdrive, and that meant I get to play them in stereo at the end of the video and do weird combinations with them. And then the second one they sent was special art. It was in this bright pumpkin orange versus the honey yellow that the normal one comes in. I don't have it right now because I've actually got it on my gigging pedal board because it actually sounds really great and I've been loving using it. But I just shipped out the pedal to the winner yesterday, I think.
Congrats, Randall.
Congratulations, Randall. I hope you enjoy it. By the time this airs, he's got it in hand unless UPS lost it. They don't do that, right? UPS is reputable, right?
Yeah. We've always said like we don't really enjoy doing giveaways, but I think
we don't like running giveaways.
Don't like, that's what it is we don't like running giveaways. And so I think if a brand comes in and
jog at best.
If a company comes in and they need to generate an email list or something and they want to do that through giveaway,
sure.
You can probably make that happen.
If someone else chooses and decides who wins, it makes it easy for us. It's like, oh, of course. Yeah, give me a link. We'll put the link. We'll say, click the link, then you'll win. And then we just ship it somewhere. That's great. But we've definitely shot ourselves in the foot over and over and over again in the past doing ridiculous like contests and stuff where we have to go through piles and piles of entries and just sit there and sweat. Like who's going to be pissed because we didn't pick them because they definitely had the best one, but we didn't see it for some reason. It's like the anxiety of that is not fun for us.
No bueno.
No bueno.
No bueno.
But contests like that are great,
Agree.
Yeah. Also, I gave away that G&L last week
on the 500th.
Yeah, but I gave it to the guy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And it was just like
he was local.
Wild coincidence. He turned out to be very, very local. I was crossing my fingers hoping that they would be in the United States so I wouldn't have to fill out a long form. I didn't check any of the entries. I didn't like snoop anyone out to figure out what was going on. And then he just turned out to be local. Not only local, he lives in the same neighborhood as some family members.
Oh, okay.
So he was like, oh, I think I've seen you in my neighborhood before, like around holidays. And like, oh my gosh, you totally have. But he took me out for a beer. I gave him the guitar. It was great. Had a great conversation with him.
Cool, man.
Yeah, it was awesome. I love that sort of stuff. And another thing, like,
thanks for the invite. Whatever.
I'll invite you next time, Steve. We went to
it's probably a Menifee. So.
We went to Fall Brewing over off of Miramar.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I hadn't been to that one yet. It was good. They had a black lager.
Oh, I love black lagers.
I love a black lager. You don't see them a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black lagers and black IPAs, you don't see them a lot, and they're always like really. I like when those kinds of things are subverted. The one that's like always real harsh on my brain though is golden stouts.
Yeah,
because I've had like a black lager. Well, black lager, black IPA are different, but a black IPA is just like a more bitter version of like an amber ale. A lot of the times, like in terms of general flavor palette.
Well, a black lager is nice because you get that drinkability of a lager, but then you get like more of a caramelized kind of like malty
it's
sort
like
of thing mixed in.
It's like a super malty lager.
Right.
Golden stouts, you look at it and you're expecting
like a hef.
Like a hef. Yeah, exactly.
But then it turns out it's like
you're drinking gold coffee.
Right. It's thick like a brownie that hasn't been baked yet. Like brownie batter is what I should have said. It's thick like brownie batter, and you're just. That
was gross.
I know.
Dude. Don't ever make that sound again.
I got a really thick like imperial stout at a local brewery like a month ago.
Oh yeah,
and it was hard to get through. Like I got the 10 ounce instead of the 4 ounce. I should have gotten a 2 ounce. It was like thick like molasses. Holy heck. It was like an after band practice. Like,
oh, cool.
Let's go hit a brewery sort of thing. All right. Nice. What's next? Do we want to tackle a topic?
I had this thought.
We could do a
sponsorship. For my what's new.
Oh yeah. What's new, Steve?
I was watching on my last live stream with Philip. We finally got Bully the kid.
Yeah, that was great.
Who's a bass YouTuber. And then that evening I went and watched his live stream.
Why weren't you on his live stream?
Because I was cooking dinner when he went live.
Yeah.
He sent me the link and I was like, dude, I'm in the middle of cooking and eating. And by the time I was like freed up, there was like 5 minutes left on his stream. But I was watching all of the creators in his space, and I kind of think I want to mimic like the lighting on a lot of their channels where They do like the forward, like they do like the front light like this, but probably a lot smaller. It's
Sure,
probably
sure.
more like ring light. And then everything in the background is just like the little LEDs. So it's all moody.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Like
like
I've got this LED strip back here.
Yeah.
You could do something like
So,
that.
so they just, I think like a few of the guys, they just run like an LED strip or a couple like LED spots
Mm-hmm.
and then just like a ring light. I was thinking like that could be cool in my office.
Yeah.
Just a thought. Just a thought I had.
When we have money in the Patreon fund again, you can go buy yourself an LED light with a softbox on it or something like that.
Oh, do we want to do mail?
Yeah.
Do we wanna do mail
No,
next
this episode's running long. Let's
All
save
right, let's
mail
do
for
mail.
Sorry, everyone that sent mail. We're gonna save it for next time, and it's gonna be great.
All right. This next sponsor is Chase Bliss. This is the blooper. This is the blooper from
It goes bloop bloop.
Chase
bloop,
Bliss.
Bloop, 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 bloop,
Why
bloop.
doesn't yours have like the Chase Bliss sticker on the back with the serial number and all that?
I
Is
don't
it before
know.
they did that?
Maybe because it was it was a demo unit. Maybe.
Blooper. This is one of several pedals that you can get from Chase Bliss if you head on over to chasebliss.com.
Yeah, they've been supporting the show for years, and maybe you should consider supporting them back. If you're shopping for your own personal Christmas gifts for yourself or for friends or family members, please consider Chase Bliss this holiday season. You don't have to wait for Christmas. Buy your grandma a Chase Bliss pedal for Thanksgiving. Why not?
You ready for this pitch, Ryan?
I'm ready for the pitch, Steve.
We're all out there chasing something. Maybe
that's
you
true.
should consider chasing bliss.
Good pitch,
Oh, no,
Steve.
no, it should be. Maybe you should take some time to chase bliss. There
This
we go.
holiday season,
Nice pitch.
take some time to yourself to chase your own bliss.
All right, Ryan,
We should be in advertising.
this topic,
We are in advertising.
this topic, I can't look it up. Did you
I
take
got a
screenshot?
screen grab.
You got a screen grab.
I got a screen grab. Kyle Barnhart asks, arguably made in USA and made in Japan guitars are the most sought after and respected. Do you think this will ever change? And if so, which country do you think could potentially be the next big thing in guitar geography? A geography topic, Steve.
Ooh.
I'm just going to say the only reasons, well, not the only reasons, but the current main reason why USA made guitars
Mm-hmm.
are considered, high end, considered desirable, is because the companies structure their products that way. It's because they decide this is where we are going to make our higher end models with USA staff, with USA workers,
Right.
because there is a built-in, kind of like marketing angle where people associate made domestically, made in USA as being the higher quality product. So we are going to pour our funds into making the higher quality product here. Any of these brands, your Fenders, your Gibsons, your Ibanez's, so on and so on and so on, your ESPs and so on and so on, they could all decide we're going to pour our resources into making our very, very, very best guitars literally anywhere.
Right.
Literally anywhere. But there's not an existing consumer sort of like reaction to that.
Yeah.
There's not this, what is the word I'm looking for? There's not an association. There's not a consumer's
there's not
association.
There's not a, I almost want to say like there's not a mojo about it.
Well, it's not like
A mojo's not the right word, but it's like it's a vibe. There is at least some aspect whether you
the quality that these guitars are made at is the quality that the company demands from a specific factory.
Right.
They have specs. They're like, this is what we expect.
Mhm.
These are the specs we expect.
These are the specs we expect.
And then the factory either meets them or they go find a new factory sort of thing, or they build their own factory. And it's every detail. It's the way the frets are dressed. It's the thickness. It's the chemical composition of the finishing. It's the woods that are used. It's the pickups, the magnets in the pickups, and how the pickups are wound. It is all the details are decided for every single factory.
I think there's at least some intangibles that probably make it easier to an extent. Oh, So my thought is like,
in
okay,
this modern world, I don't know, man.
If Fender wanted to pick up and start making Stratocasters in like Argentina,
Sure.
Paraguay, Argentina is a big country. Let's say Paraguay, that they would have, and they're going to use all Paraguayan workers,
Right.
right? They're not going to just send, maybe they send some American engineers
I know
to
where
Paraguay,
you're going with this. Yeah.
but they're going to use Paraguayan workers. I don't know. So if you reduce it down to like a mechanical binary, 100% they can make the product. But I do wonder how much of like at the higher levels, and maybe this is only at the highest levels, like a custom shop level, does it matter that the people who are building the instruments are also players?
I don't think that
Like,
matters a
can
lot,
you-
but
do you think you could? So what I'm saying is like, do you think, given I don't know how much time he would say it takes, but do you think like Doug Cower could move to Trinidad and Tobago and start making guitars there, just using local labor, and like he could just teach them to do it?
so let's put out a hypothetical. What's the place you just named?
Paraguay, Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know.
So say Fender, Gibson, etc., whoever decides they are going to build their top of the line guitars in Paraguay,
Yeah,
in Trinidad. Let's pick one I can
should
say.
have picked.
Pick one I can say, Steve.
Let's say Yemen.
Yemen, perfect. I can say
That's
Yemen.
one I figured you could say.
Yeah, I can say that one just fine. So they decide that their top of the line instruments are going to be made in Yemen,
right,
by Yemenis people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming they're Yemenis. Sorry to the people in Yemen if I totally mangled that. It's nothing personal.
I think they are
It's my ignorance.
They're Yemeni, like Saudi, like Yemen.
Okay, Yemeni.
They just add the I.
I'm not going to say it again. What's going to happen is not immediate, but what's going to happen is because there's people in those factories working at that level eventually, and because it builds the notoriety of like, oh man, these people in Yemen are really just cranking out amazing guitars. Then you start to develop people who are like, yeah, I've gotten really good at this. Now I'm like a celebrity builder here in Yemen. I'm going to go out on my own.
Right.
It's a thing that builds.
That's
and
true.
And because the USA already has this established association with quality builds, because the main big companies, they make their USA products quality builds, all of the small builders, all the boutique builders in the USA benefit from that. They benefit from that association, whether they're at that quality level or not. I mean, Doug Cower is definitely like at that quality level for sure. But everyone who isn't still benefits from that association.
Yeah. And you can like connect the dots, right? Like famously, the heritage guitars were being made in Kalamazoo in the old Gibson plant by former Gibson, like basically Gibson employees who are like, I don't want to move to Nashville.
Right.
The Leo Fender left Fender and started was it GLF or whatever?
Well, he did. He was like at Music Man, and then he started G&L.
Was it Music Man and then G&L? So he like, he's spreading what he knows.
Right.
John Suhr of Suhr Guitars was a Fender guy for a really long time. Ron Thorne, I don't even know who he works for now. Does he work for himself? Does he work for Fender?
There's a guitar.
Does it just depend on the day of the week? I'm not really sure.
There's a guitar we're going to cover next episode. It was built by a guy who built like 100 guitars in the 80s, and he was an ex-Fender employee, and his guitars go for thousands and thousands of dollars now, but he only built 100 of them, and I'd never heard of him before. But because he has those associations, and because there's this prestige.
Now is it like Robin?
No.
Okay.
No, you won't. I'll be surprised if you are familiar with them.
No, so those kinds of stories persist, and to that point, because those types of brands exist, and then you have guys who Grover Jackson Guitars. How many people does Grover Jackson build necks for.
Sure.
Like I don't know if he's still doing it, but for a long time he was like the OEM neck guy for a lot of higher end brands.
Yeah.
Guys like that someone like Doug Cower can spend a couple years like slugging along on his own, and then go to NAMM or go to some kind of guitar show or whatever, meet these other people who go like, oh, you have a really cool product, we should talk shop sometime. And now you just have this network that exists.
Yeah.
To an extent, I think you're starting to see that in some, obviously, like that's basically the Fender Japan story.
Right.
And it really is, right? Like,
well, Fender Japan has an amazing reputation now.
They
so like,
do, but all of that started with like Fujigen Gaki and all that. They're building copies for like Tokai and whatever. And then Fender was like, well, if you can't beat them, we'll just buy it. Like, we'll just license the factory and you can build our stuff.
So before Fender Japan and Ibanez really took off, Japanese guitars were like, oh, these like weird, like they're almost Italian in vibe, where like they're like the parts are weird and like they look like someone just copied a picture out of a catalog to make this guitar sort of thing. But then they transitioned from what was like weird import status guitars to like, man, really great stuff is coming out of Japan. Yeah. And now if you find out that some guitar is made in Japan, you're like, that's probably great. Japanese guitars are great because you have these associations, and it's happening that way with Korean guitars. Yeah. Korean guitars have this reputation of being very, very well made at a very specific price point. The Korean guitars tend to land in this $800 to $1,300 price point, and they all have this really great like quality control, like quality of build to them. They all have this very, like, I could almost like, I could probably pick up a guitar and tell you if it was Korean or not at this point, because they have a very specific vibe to them.
Sure.
You know, there's something about the finishing. There's something about the way the frets are dressed. There's something about the shapes of the necks and stuff like, oh, here's a Korean guitar. But that association is like, it doesn't matter what brand makes it at this point or is selling it. You're like, oh, Korean guitars, those are great. You know, it's all about building up this association with the location.
And you do kind of already have that going on with Korea, where you know, people are kind of starting to chase Epiphones that were made in Korea,
right?
That before, you know, they went to China. You're starting to see that collector's market come up now. A thought that I have, you know, speculating to the question of what's the next cool guitar country. So we're saying America, cool. Japan. Well, I think I'm going to say like
Korea is almost there. I think all Korea needs is boutique builders.
Right. So that's a thing. And
that's the transition.
Maybe they have some. I don't know. I just don't know.
Sure.
I think there are other companies that probably, you know, we're kind of just ignoring all of Europe.
Right.
But I think we kind of like tend to lump in guitars built in the West into one big thing. Like nobody's going to pick up a Godin and be like, oh, this guitar is built in Canada. Like they're going to associate Canadian guitar quality with American guitar quality. It's kind of just this whole, and this is where I was like thinking at the beginning, it's almost like this birthplace of rock and roll thing. Like all of these places have been exposed to rock music for a really long time, so they must be making good instruments. And
let's not have rock music be
no, but like think about it, like
the foundation of quality.
If Germany all of a sudden started coming out with like and maybe they have some good guitar builders, I don't know. Do. But if all of a sudden like people were like really hyping it up, no one would question it.
Sure.
Whereas like if you know in 10 years people were like, man, like Indonesian guitars are where it's at, people are gonna be like, what kind of music comes from Indonesia? Like people want to associate the instrument with something about that country's musical culture as it relates to the instrument itself.
I think a transition point is when you start to see the boutique builders show up. You start to see celebrity builders or celebrity factories, you know, like, like that's the way the Japan associations are like, oh, it came out of this factory, it must be good sort of thing. Like if it came out of this factory in Korea, it must be good. Oh, it was built by this guy who started making his own guitars and he worked in the Court factory or whatever. And, you know, like now he's making his own things to the quality that he wants to. Like those types of stories are what build reputations and open us up to guitars made in other geographies. There's nothing magical about something being made in any one spot. It's about there being a workforce there that cares about building them well, that is being funded to build them well. Because Fender could pour the money in to build their highest quality guitars.
The funding is probably a huge thing.
Anywhere.
I'm sure is huge.
The funding is a huge part of it. It's the investment from the companies that starts that ball rolling, and then eventually it's the small builders that help kind of like reinforce those ideas about that geography.
So some people might think this is a hot take. I think it's logically sound, and because it's logically sound, I don't think it's as hot as it's going to sound as soon as I say it.
Say it, Steve. I'll tell you if it's hot or not.
I'll say Western, American, Canada, etc. Japan. Now, I'm not going to tier them. I'm going to say the United States, Western built guitar. So US, Canada, UK, Europe, whatever. And Japan, we'll just we'll call it all S tier.
Sure. Okay.
Korea, will maybe A, B tier. I think the next country to come up, if you're tiering all of this and you're saying, I think most people would put China and Indonesia, at least for the products that are being pushed by import brands.
Right.
Your Squires, your Epiphones, your PRSI. China and Indonesia are on pretty equal footing.
Sure.
But in terms of what is going to be the next cool guitar country, I think it'll be Indonesia before it's China.
Really?
Yes. And the reason for this, that I'm thinking this, is I think the existence of the AliExpress, Temu, Amazon market for $200 Chinese guitars is going to exist longer.
Sure.
Than, like you said, it's all about breaking out of this mold.
There's this huge cookie cutter kind of cloney sort of reputation that comes with Chinese cheap stuff, where it's just like, oh yeah, they're just stamping out guitars there. It does in the West, in America, and elsewhere in the West, we don't have an impression from China that these instruments are being made by people who care. I don't think that's true, because we see companies like ERT and other companies. We're like talking to the leadership and interacting with the people who are building these brands. They seem to actually really be into their guitars and really into the details and specs.
A few years ago, like when we were talking to Music Area about their cases, like the dude who did the marketing for them, that was like a real guitar player.
That interaction that we've had the privilege of having is not translating to the consumers.
No,
they don't. For the vast majority of Chinese manufactured products, they feel like there's no personality behind them. They just feel like, oh, here's the thing. It's $200 instead of $400 if I bought the Korean one. That's what it feels like. They're not. And they haven't figured out, because the way that they market is just like, here's the thing, we made a lot of them and they're cheap. The West wants the personality, they want the story, they want vibes, and it's really hard to get the vibes through the channels where we get these products. And we're getting products that they are just cookie cutter stamp outs.
Right.
We're not getting the vibes because they don't have the vibes. I fully believe that the people of China can produce amazing instruments.
Oh, absolutely.
With their whole heart and soul behind them, and make things that are come from them instead of just being stamp out copies of what they've seen in catalogs from the West.
Right. So the reason I'm thinking about this in terms of like favoring Indonesia is because what I envision in my head is that same scenario you're talking about. Guys working in a factory, Epiphone factory in China versus a guy working in the PRS factory, World Music factory in Indonesia. Excuse me. Both of them decide one day, I can do this on my own. I'm going to take everything I learned. I'm going to save up. I've been saving this money for a long time. I'm going to buy my own CNC machine. I'm going to make my own guitars. The guy who starts selling a handmade Indonesian guitar, he's going to try to sell it for $1,500 US. And he's going to say, yeah, you can buy an Indonesian guitar for $900 from Paul Reed Smith or whatever. I don't know what the most expensive SE is, $800, $900, let's say. Or you can buy mine for $1,500. And I designed and built all of this.
Right.
And you know, it'll be a nod to a Strat or whatever, because they always are. Right. Hold on.
Okay.
And somebody will look at that and be like, well, I've played a lot of other Indonesian guitars and they were all, good to above average quality. I'm willing to take a risk on a guy who says that he used to make Reverends or whatever, or used to make PRSs, and now he's independent. But the guy who does that in China, not only does he have to say, I worked in the Epiphone factory and now I'm going off on my own making guitars, and my guitar at $1,500 is better than an Epiphone. What's the series, the like $900 Epiphone Prophecy series? Right. So mine's $1,500, theirs is $900. And people are going to look at that and say, what separates your guitar at $1,500? How do I know that when I buy your guitar, I'm getting an Epiphone plus model, a super Epiphone, whatever, and not AliExpress? Right. And that's the thing. So now he's got to overcome not only well, I can get an Epiphone from your country for $900. I'm not going to pay $1,500, which is the same fight that the Indonesian builder has to have. But he also has to fight the reputation of the punch card,
right? The
guitar, cookie cutter guitars. Yeah. And I think that's a tough spot.
It is a tough spot.
But I agree with you 100%. Like, it is doable. It's not like the people are incapable of doing it. It's a standard that's enforced, and if the individual wants to enforce that standard, it's the same reason why when you buy a Firefly or a Grote or whatever of these, sub $400, sub $300 Chinese guitars, sometimes you get one that, aside from microphonic pickups, could be on the level or higher than an Epiphone. It could even be at the same quality level as an American guitar. You have to get lucky,
but sometimes it happens.
Because it can happen,
right.
But because the QC standards aren't being enforced, 8 hours a day, all shift long.
They have the funds to build guitars that sell for $200.
No, exactly.
Like there's not a big investment into
the quality. There's almost no investment.
There's no investment into the quality. They have just enough investment to make a guitar-shaped object that happens to have frets and pickups. But I want to go back to saying, I think the thing that's missing is this connection of the person behind what's being built. Mm-hmm. If some builder in China is making guitars that can outdo, say, a $3,000 PRS,
right?
But because they're in China, they to enter the market, they have to list them at $1,200-$1,300, mm-hmm. and they're having a tough time selling them. It's because people don't. There's no personal connection. They haven't figured out, everyone wants to buy a PRS because there's Paul Reed Smith behind it.
Right.
Who is this person building it? There needs to be that personal connection. And as an example, do you know C-Hat?
Sounds familiar.
There's a guy in Indonesia.
Okay.
Who his company is C-Hat Effectors.
Okay.
And he has an online persona.
Mm-hmm.
You can follow him on Instagram, and he makes cool stuff like this. He makes fuzz pedals where he's sand casted and poured the metal enclosures himself.
Oh, wow,
and chromed them and did all, and his pedals are wild, but you see his personality. You see that this is a person building these things. He's in Indonesia. If someone told you, oh, there's this really cool pedal company in Indonesia, you're thinking K-Mize, you're thinking some weird little floorboard thing. No, he's a boutique builder.
Right.
In Indonesia, making stuff that I look at, I haven't even heard it, and I drool over it because that looks freaking cool. It all looks like one-off. It's got high personality. You see the guy, he's pushing himself as the face of the company. Mm-hmm. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. If there's anyone in China or anywhere else that wants to market their Chinese or import instruments, you have to connect the personality of the person building them to the consumer because that's what Westerners want. Fender, there's not Leo Fender behind it anymore, but that's all, that personality is baked in already.
Well, now they've taken that personality and they've taken the reputations of decades of Dick Dale, Keith Richards, David Gilmour.
Their personalities are their well-established legacies. If you don't have a legacy, you have to start building one, and you do it with personality.
Yeah.
And of course, a good product. Of course, a good product.
And there are countries that like you don't think of that I know are making really good products. Like we see these at different events, you know, whether it's like Cream Guitars,
right?
You know, they're building a premium guitar in Mexico that's getting a lot of attention because
I might have mine by the time this airs.
The guitars themselves have a lot of personality.
Oh yeah, totally.
You know, and they're connecting with people in a way that I think works with the way that they're using social media. And there's a lot of pedal companies in Mexico and in South America that are doing that. And
I could see Brazil actually becoming a guitar building hotspot because a lot of people there really care about guitar. All they have is Tajima, but with that, what I was saying, you get Tajima employees going out on their own,
right,
building things the way they want them. We could see 20, 30, 40 years down the road from here, Brazil being a hot spot for guitar manufacturing.
That would have been the real curveball if to pick for the next cool guitar country is a country like Brazil, where right now you can only name one brand out of Brazil. But yeah, no,
but they have a strong guitar culture there. How do I know they have a strong guitar culture there? Is because Brazilians are constantly commenting on videos and telling me they're in Brazil.
Yeah.
Like they're, hey, from Brazil, love the video. Like probably more than any other country.
Is that where Carlos is from?
No, Carlos is from Spain.
Why did I think he was from Brazil?
I have no idea.
I thought there was someone that we like knew that was like a Brazilian YouTuber. And like all their videos were in Portuguese.
I can't think of him.
Okay, I don't.
But you might be right.
Oh no, you know what I'm thinking of is don't they say that every time Slash releases a guitar for Gibson, they all sell out, but they're all being sold to Brazil,
right?
Something like that.
Well, there's a big thing where like a lot of American like arena bands, will tour down to South America. Mm-hmm. And we figured out years ago the big reason for it is because it's all the same time zones. So you get all your Metallicas and stuff like that. They're all like kind of aging. They can't really handle, you know, the stress of going on a European tour that's going to jet lag them for a week. Right. Like, let's just go down to Brazil, and the people down there go crazy for it. Like the huge festival shows for American bands. Like they love it down there. I've long thought that we should, or maybe at least I should try to go down to Brazil and do like a road case down there and try to go film guitar stuff. But I don't know the first thing about traveling in Brazil, so who knows? Last ad, let's do it. This is a long episode.
This ad was sent by Snarky.
Thanks, Snarky.
About this listing, looks to be homemade, funky, cool looking guitar. Not sure what parts they had on it. Neck has a very slight. Sorry, I'm making a note. Has a very slight back bow in it right now, but I don't know how it will be once you string it up. It'll be, if it's a back bow, maybe I'll straighten it out.
Maybe.
I've never seen tension on this guitar. It looks to be of decent amateur quality. Missing one of the dots in the fingerboard. Please see photos for condition. Sold as is as a project with no refunds or exchanges.
Did I get a price on it?
I don't know. Did you? All right.
Oh, there is $219 plus $50 shipping.
So $269.
Nice.
This neck looks like it used to be maybe a Teisco.
Yeah, it's got that Teisco sort of. What it is it has the two holes where the string retainer would be, that bar that would go across. I don't know if that's the original shape for the headstock, but it is wild.
I don't hate it.
I do not hate it. It's so weird that it works with the rest of the guitar. The body, it's going in an interesting direction. Like I could fix this with about an hour's worth of work in Adobe Illustrator, like redoing the body a little bit.
I was like, Ryan, you cannot reshape this guitar. No. It's going to take you an hour just to get through that paint job.
But there's things that I like about this. I like that kind of unique German carve where it's more like, it's not a German carve, it's more like sunk into the body, giving a channel
right
around the edge, giving you this 3-dimensional sort of thing. I like the color. The colors, I don't usually like that sort of color, but it's really attractive on this. I like where they're going with the horn shapes, but things are scaled a little weird. That top horn, it needs to match the bullhorn qualities of the lower horn better, and the butt needs to be bigger. I don't always say that, but in this case, the butt needs to be bigger. It's got this big horns, tiny butt sort of thing going on, where it's just like, you know, if the horns were made smaller, I think it would like work in like a parlor guitar scaled sort of way.
Right.
It's parts. Like, it doesn't have pickups, it doesn't have a bridge, it doesn't have electronics, it doesn't have tuners, it doesn't have strings. It is a project guitar. It's someone's homemade bandsaw guitar.
This should be $75.
Oh, it should be free. Like, this shouldn't cost money.
The
Like,
routing on here. Well, so it's funny because the routing for the trem cavity, which this also kind of makes me wonder how much of a home project this is, because that is a Teisco style trem cavity.
it could have been a bigger guitar that they carved down.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. But the
I don't know what, because that's a huge top horn.
The pickup spots and the control cavity both look like they were routed with a spoon.
Well, part of the problem is this looks like it has at least 20 cans of spray paint on it. Like, that paint is so thick.
At least.
And I think my gut is that there's a Bondo situation going on, or it was just they layered so much wet paint and didn't let it dry in between those cracks on the front of it. That's like you've caked so much wet material on there that it cracked when it dried. Like, that's what happened. But yeah, this should be free. It looks like it was a bass, maybe. Like that bridge
was a bass?
That bridge placement makes me think bass, even though that doesn't make any sense because it's carved out. But I don't see a place where there's supposed to be a bridge mounted.
Yeah, maybe.
Where's the bridge? You know,
maybe it was a floating, like just a wood bridge.
Also, super weird that it's a set neck when it's like, this definitely looks like it started out as a bolt-on.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking the neck got glued into this body, and then they did that.
And they just painted over it.
They did like some rasping and some sanding to give that smooth connect there.
They put so many coats of paint on this guitar that
it just looks like it's just next through.
Just like it's that there's no glue. It's just paint. He does say that this guitar's never had tension on it.
Oh yeah,
so,
who knows? Who knows?
As soon as you start to tune it up, it could just like fly off. Oh man, this is gross.
I like looking at it. The way that the headstock connects to the neck, the way it flares out on the edges of the nut is really unique too. Oh man, I bet someone out there would be able to identify this headstock and be like, "Oh, I know what that came from," and it was either carved up or that's original. I like looking at it though. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to even offer to take it off their hands for free. But there's something about it. It has a charm to it that I don't mind.
Right.
So are we ready? Are we ready to make decisions?
I think so.
Okay, so we had that funky green thing. We had the slightly dusty PV, and we had the Cobain Skystang.
Yeah.
What are you going for?
I'm going for that slightly dusty.
Me too.
PVT-40.
Me too. That was sent by Jason Welch. Congratulations, and thank you for the scotch. We've been enjoying it very, very much. What did you think, Steve, of the scotch?
I liked it.
I like it a lot.
I'm not a big scotch guy. I'm not a big, I don't know.
He also sent the Malort. Would you rather drink that?
No.
I like how far I tried to soften what I was saying about the Malort when I drank it because it was a new and unique experience. I was like, oh yeah. Like, no, I get it. Like it's a unique flavor. Like I understand what's going on here. Like, and then I did not finish the cup, which is the first time in the history of anything. This was on the 500th episode live stream. I poured a cup with like an inch of Malort in it. I did not finish it. I took one sip and I can't go back.
I think I finished it.
Really?
If I don't remember pouring it out, so
like,
I must have finished it.
I didn't want to like.
Oh no! You know what? I drank straight from the can.
Yeah, because they gave you that mason jar.
So I drank it. I was drinking it straight from the mason jar. I just put the cap back on the mason jar. The alcohol level in it is enough that I'm sure it's still sterile.
I didn't want to like fall back and sound like one of the people who reviews Malort and says all these wild things about what it tastes like, but honestly, it tasted like burnt hair and burnt rubber.
Tastes like all of the terrible things you hear about it.
It's all true. Every bit of it is true. If you get the chance to try it, do it. I still like the idea that like this is what you drink, like if your buddy gets a raise or if your buddy's getting married or something like that. This is like, we're all getting out, we're getting Malort shots together. It's a bonding experience. Like if us and a bunch of buddies went out, we all had a shot of Malort to start the night, it can only get better from there.
Well, I'll keep that jar on my shelf and you keep your bottle on your shelf and we'll drink it again on the 1000th episode.
I'm going to have that bottle in my cabinet at least until Henry turns 21, and I'm definitely going to make him take a shot of Malort on his 21st birthday.
For the 1000th episode virtual helmet live stream, because by then they'll have VR mostly perfected.
Right,
We'll just be like, the little hollow emitter.
It'll all be inside
like Star Wars.
our eyeballs, and we'll all just live in this virtual world, and it'll be hell.
Ryan.
Yes, Steve.
This song was sent by Gerhard Vogel. He says, a great demo. I hope that you will enjoy. Hey, guys, I look forward to your show every Monday when it hits. By the way, we're almost out of songs, so if you want to send us a song, send it to 60cyclehumcast@gmail.com, MP3, downloadable link, whatever. That works.
If we run out...
I say a downloadable link, not a link, because we need to be able to download it.
If we run out, I'm not going to do national anthems like I used to. I'm just going to go through the entire Dinosaur Ghost album song by song.
That'll give us an extra, 10, 12 weeks?
Yeah, and it'll demonetize every video.
Yeah, it'll demonetize it, but it'll redirect it to you.
Right, but then CD Baby will get their cut.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I look forward to your show every Monday. You all make me laugh and chuckle sardonically. I am a total gear nerd with over 120 pedals, 11 guitars, 10 amps, and tons of other stuff to make my music. Here's my band,
one of us,
Caribou Gone, with a song called Cool Customers. All guitars are recorded from either pedals direct into DAW or a Fryette Valvulator GP DI direct into DAW. No emulators or IR were used. All details. Oh, he gave me a link, so I'll have the link below. You can find videos of us on YouTube, and our music is on the streaming services. We play live gigs in the Minneapolis area, where I get to use an admittedly outrageous wet rig based mostly on a Friedman BE100, run mono in the center and through massive stereo processing on either side.
Nice.
Sure, it's a drag to schlep the gig to the gig, but I love the sound experience so much. It's worth it.
Can't wait to hear this thing. What do you think, Steve?
In my head, when I think of Minneapolis, I think of Minnesota. And so I always expect everything, music from Minnesota, to sound like indie folk, whatever. But if you played this track to me and you said, what does this song sound like? I would say it sounds like Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And then you would say, no, it's Minneapolis. And then I would be like, oh yeah, dumbass, this sounds exactly like Minneapolis. Because this is like the Prince sound.
Right.
Which is, there's a ton of bands from Minneapolis that like this sound is a uniquely Minneapolis sound. It's really cool. I like it.
I thought it was great. And because I think it was great, you've earned something that a lot of songs don't get from me. You're going to get criticism. because it's really good. As a fan of like new wavy, like 80s type stuff.
Okay.
There was just a bit too much going on. You have really, really strong core there. Really, really strong parts throughout. You need to go through and you need to cut out everything that isn't like top shelf strong. There's not a lot in there that I'm talking about, but there's things that are complicating it more than it needs to be. Simplify. You've got a lot of really great stuff in there. Simplify it, like pare it back, and it's going to make you feel uncomfortable because you're going to be proud of all those tracks. You're going to be proud of all of it, and it's going to be hard. But if you simplify that, you take it down from being a sub sandwich that has just thousands of layers of things in it, and you take it down to just like a Reuben. It's got 3 ingredients, and they're all perfect. That's what I'm talking about. Like, just, it's really good. So, thank you. Thank you for sending that in. Bye, everybody.
Stay grounded.